Gamers, I am now a man who has seen every single Sonic movie. Of course, I mean every single live-action Sonic movie, but you know, I'm no pleb. I've seen the Sonic OVA from the 90s. I watched that shit all the time as a kid. I thought it was peak. It was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Anyways, Sonic 3 just came out, and I thought I'd give my 2 cents on it. A little bit of a movie review while it's still relevant. Sonic the Hedgehog 2020, the original live-action movie, was honestly a movie that was kicking around in the back of my mind for a while. Ever since, like, I don't know, 2012, it was kind of announced. Or there was some things, it had been greenlit, they wanted to do a whole, you know, live-action CG Sonic thing. And I wasn't too sure about it. You know, there was a lot of movies like that at the time. Like, I don't know, those Smurfs, and the fucking Yogi Bear, dude, like... Basically, nobody thought this movie was going to be any good at all. And then, of course, in 2019, they released that absolutely horrible trailer with the early Sonic model that just looked completely terrible. I don't even know how that happened. A lot of people even consider it to be somewhat of a conspiracy theory, if that even makes any sense. Like, why would they do that? This is what, Paramount? Now, I don't know, Paramount doesn't really make too many good decisions, in my opinion, but that just doesn't seem like something anyone would do. Even a producer or investor that doesn't know anything about, of course, Sonic, or maybe even filmmaking in general. But of course, they righted their wrongs, they corrected the Sonic model, and then they laid off all their employees, all their animators. That was pretty bad. Hope those guys are doing okay. But, of course, as the reviews kept coming in, and the movie actually came out, I thought that I would actually genuinely check it out because it seemed like a fun flick. And the Detective Pikachu movie from the previous year was honestly pretty good, so I had pretty high hopes for video game movies at this point. Like, honestly, they're getting pretty good. So me and my friend went out to see the Sonic movie. We had a great time. Right afterwards, I went on a trip to visit my cousins in New Jersey, and they were like, guess what we're doing? We're seeing Sonic. So I saw the first movie twice in theaters, not purposefully. I saw it the first time because I was like, yeah, we're gonna go see Sonic. This is gonna be fun. And then my cousins were like, yeah, we're seeing Sonic. And I'm like, all right, shit, you already bought my ticket. I'll see it again. So I have watched the film twice, and it's pretty good. It's fine. It's like the most fine movie I've ever watched. Like, I don't dislike it in any way, but it doesn't necessarily do anything that I like. Like, it doesn't necessarily show a portrayal of Sonic as a character that is something to my liking, and it doesn't necessarily present the world in a way that I think is super interesting. And fuck James Marsden at this point, like, but it's not a bad movie. It's not like a good or even great movie. It's just I can't hate it. It's so normal. It's so solid. It's just such a fine movie for what it is, and it doesn't try to be anything more than it is. So I don't think I would ever rewatch it for the third time, but it's not bad. It's okay. I enjoyed it. Years went by, and the second movie got a lot more praise than the first, honestly. But I never fully got around to watching it. I just kind of said, you know, that's just another Sonic movie. It's got Tails, it's got Knuckles. I don't know, it's not really super exciting to me. But everyone said that the third movie would have Shadow in it. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. Now you got me. Now I'm gonna go see the third one. So I had to go check out the second one again, or for the first time before Sonic 3 came out. So I watched it, and I enjoyed it. It was definitely a much better film than the first one, but it just has very weird parts about it. Like, there's this one character who keeps making references, but they're not, like, relevant references. He keeps referencing, like, Ghostbusters for some reason. Like, why in this Sonic movie is there a character that's, like, referencing Ghostbusters and other, like, obscure 80s things that really don't matter to either the overall plot, the themes, what's going on in the plot, or anything to do with fucking Sonic. Also, like, this movie's whole side plot with the real people, the live action characters, and their whole, like, wedding arc, that just didn't need to be there. That was too much movie in my movie, you know? But it was fun. It was pretty light on story. It has some weird character arc where Sonic starts calling James Marsden Dad. That was weird. I don't know what they were trying to do with that. But it did do some pretty cool things for the overall world building of this now film canon. It introduced Gun officially. It kind of alluded to a lot of things. And of course, it showed off Shadow right at the very end, in like the post-credit scene. So people were pretty much very excited for the third film. And I think a lot of people thought it was going to be the final film for some reason. I don't know. I had that idea kicking around in my head, but it's never really the final film, is it? There was a TV show about Knuckles. I did not watch that. I did not care. I do not have Paramount Plus. But of course, the big one that everyone seems to be super hyped about and is actually something that I believe is genuinely worth your time if you're a Sonic fan and if you think either one of these games is cool. Sonic 3 was fantastic. It was peak Sonic movie. You know, all the other Sonic movies, they've got a lot of stuff on one side that makes you go, okay, I wish I could remove this. This is kind of lame. I don't really care about this. You know, get this out of here. And they have, you know, the actual stuff that concerns Sonic and references and homages to the games and better world building, stuff like that. Stuff that we enjoy as fans of these bumbling ass video games. So I kind of feel like the first film was made for, I don't know, little kids, trying to introduce them to Sonic as a character, trying to basically, you know, establish Sonic as a character in a more mainstream context than, you know, this goofy ass shit over here. And, you know, maybe reintroduce the character to people, probably parents at this point, who maybe have experienced the old Sonic games back in the day and, like, didn't really follow stuff going forwards. Sonic 2 was definitely, there was much more homages to the Genesis era games, and I think there's a lot more nostalgia for specifically Sonic 2 and 3 in that movie. But this movie is all about the adventure series, the adventure era. And as a child of the early 2000s, this is my bread and butter. I absolutely adore the Sonic adventure games, even though I can 100% see that they're kind of terrible. Like, they're kind of shit games, but I still love them anyways. I don't know if Sonic Adventure 2 can be classified as terrible or a shit game. Sonic Adventure 1, especially in its current state with the busted-ass Steam port, go check out my Let's Play. I don't know, I'm gonna have to come back to Sonic Adventure 2 because I'm getting so nostalgic over it because of this movie. There were so many little things, so many little references, so many aspects of this film that show you that the makers really cared about what the fans wanted to see and what is so special about the adventure era. Now, similar to going from the Genesis games to the 3D games, story and character arcs take a much more of a focus in this film. Now, you know, in the first two films, they weren't really overly concerned with the story. It was kind of just, you know, a fun plot that keeps things going, pacing is at a clip, and, you know, they have a slight character arc in the end. But this film really takes the time to delve into Shadow as a character, show you his backstory, show you why he is the way he is, and kind of tie it into Sonic's backstory, tying their two character arcs together in a way that is very effective. Now, they did change a lot of things from the game. You know, Space Colony Arc is no longer Space Colony, it's kind of just a science facility. Shadow was no longer manufactured by said science facility. He is an alien that dropped onto the Earth, just like Sonic in this context. But they genuinely kept and adapted a lot of stuff from the Space Colony Arc storyline, having to do with Gerald and Maria. Granted, Gerald is pretty different in this movie, but Maria and Shadow's relationship is something that we haven't actually seen that much of in the games. We got tons of flashbacks, we got tons of details, but actually seeing it play out was something very interesting. And I think they did an absolutely fantastic job with doing it. I think the actress that they got to play Maria just did the role in the most earnest way possible. I think she might be the best live action actor in the Sonic movies outside of course, Jim Carrey. She's genuinely giving a legit performance to basically nothing, as she's just acting aside Shadow, who's just a CG monstrosity. But she genuinely does such a good job with the material she's been given, and they did such a good job of adapting the material that was in Sonic Adventure 2. And of course, because this is the Shadow movie, they have to include as many references and callbacks as possible. Now, I say that in like such a bright and fond way, because this is something where I feel like references and callbacks and homages really, really work. If, say, you're watching, you know, the 75th Marvel movie for this year, and all they're doing is referencing the original Avengers movie, it's just not going to be as special. It's going to feel tired and played out. But with this, they're adapting a classic game, a series of classic games, games that maybe didn't even review all that well, like Shadow the Hedgehog over here, but people have a lot of fondness for, and people really care about. So seeing that kind of paid homage to on the big screen is a big deal. And I think in the way it's done with enough respect and tact that I think it's something really special. So when they reference the opening cinematic of Shadow the Hedgehog in this movie with Sonic collapsing to the ground with Shadow behind him, I just like, of course it's a moment where I stick my finger out of the screen and go, oh, I recognize that. But it just feels so much better than your typical reference, because it's something that's so specific to this little game that is so like, near to me in such a weird way, because this is not a good game. This game kind of blows ass, but I kind of still love it. And of course, they gave Shadow a motorcycle. They gave him a gun. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. They made him do the Akira bicycle slide. It's just, I think they nailed that opening action scene with Sonic and Shadow, and they nailed the references. They have the Chao Garden. That was so great to see. And of course, going into this movie, I knew that this movie would not be nearly as good as it could be if it did not have a rendition of Live and Learn by Crush 40. And I'm very, very proud that they actually did it. Now, of course they did it, because clearly these movies are being made by people that actually care about the source material, but there's always that fear in the back of my mind that, what if they don't play Live and Learn? What if they just play some generic, bombastic action music for the final encounter, and it's just gonna fall flat because people are like, oh no, you have to play the bombastic action music, we can't have this stupid 90s butt rock. No, we need the 90s butt rock. And it's incredible. You have Sonic and Shadow going super forms at the end. You have a full-on like Dragon Ball-esque battle where they go to Egypt, they go to the pyramids, which was a big detail in Sonic Adventure 2 that I was like, as much of Sonic Adventure 2 adaptation that this movie could be, I know they're not going to Egypt and they're not going in a rocket to the Space Colony Arc, which is like the coolest shit that happened in that game. I know they're not doing that. So I had to temper my expectations, but they did show the pyramids. This is just showing how fucking Sonic pilled I am. That's like a detail that sticks out of my mind. God. But it was very cool to see. And of course, they team up not to fight a big lizard, but to essentially take down the real Space Colony Arc, which is not the research facility, but the actual thing in the sky with the big cannon that is shaped like Robotnik's face. Of course, those are the two big moments that stuck out to me. There's some other fun stuff. Geralt Robotnik is a very fun presence. The goat milker guy, I forget his name, but very nice, very nice. I think the whole concept of him and Eggman being in love is honestly like kind of beautiful. I don't know. It's sweet to see how much they care about each other and how much the goat milker guy is like legitimately in love with Robotnik. And they do it in such a way that is very much insinuating that these characters have a much deeper relationship, but not going too deep into it, because this is, like, I don't know, a kid's movie, and I guess they don't want to have that kind of relationship. I don't know. It's very interesting. Sonic has constantly been a series that has, pushed boundaries in some ways, and even I do recall, like, the official Sonic Twitter and stuff posting things for, like, Pride Month and stuff. So, Sega and the Sonic series as a whole are pretty, I don't know, aware of things of that nature, I guess. So it's very fun to see. I genuinely think the Goat Milker guy is like a really well-written character and one of the best additions to the cast in terms of like the new live-action actors. Geralt was fun. Geralt has been the kind of the source of a lot of criticism that this movie has gotten by big Sonic fans. I think that Geralt's presence in Sonic Adventure 2 is great. He's threatening, he's in one like video clip. He's already dead, everything this guy did, you're like, this guy was fucking nuts. But I think having him be a much more goofy character in this movie is fine. Like, you don't need to 100% adapt Sonic Adventure 2 because that story already exists and people already appreciate it for what it is. So changing that story in a way that doesn't, I feel, that doesn't kind of ruin it or tatter its legacy, so to speak, is completely fine. I thought he was funny. I thought Jim Carrey playing both roles was very interesting. The way he can play off of himself is nuts. I think that is like incredible. Yeah, of course there's a goofy dance scene because apparently there's always got to be a goofy dance scene, but that was a lot of fun. That one chick from Breaking Bad is in the movie. She was cool. I recognized her face, but I just couldn't put my finger on. And then I looked it up later. It's the chick from Breaking Bad and Jessica Jones. Like, okay, that in the Sonic movie, sure, why not? And they genuinely went so hard with the ending. Sonic and Shadow's character arcs coming to a head together, how their arcs relate to each other, how their relationship in this movie evolves by the end. I thought it was done in almost like a very nuanced way. Made me appreciate their relationship in the game a lot. Made me really appreciative that they took all of what was in the game and really thought about how to bring it to the screen. I thought that was all very, very well done. And they stuck to their guns. They stuck to Sonic Adventure 2 for the most part. And Shadow dies at the end, which I thought was really great because I genuinely love how Sonic Adventure 2 ends. So to see that adapted in that way was really cool. Granted, we have two post-credit scenes to talk about. The first one has a lot to it, and I have a lot to say about it, so we'll talk about the second one first. The second one is Shadow basically getting up from the crater that he shot down to the Earth from. So Shadow's alive. Of course he's alive. He's alive. He's been alive. But I do wonder, like, if they're gonna do kind of the what I'm gonna call the clone saga, which I guess is parts of Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog, where he's like, am I a clone? Am I an android, a robot? Did Eggman make me? Oh yeah, Eggman's also, this is spoilers. We're already in spoilers, by the way. Eggman fucking died. He's fucking dead for real. So I guess the Goat Milker guy is going to be like that new egg. Yeah, so Shadow's obviously back. I wonder if they're going to do stuff with like the Shadow androids or the clones or Black Doom or basically anything that was in Shadow the Hedgehog, as well as bringing in other characters like Rouge and Omega, who are pretty integral to Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog. But in the first post-credit scene, we got to see Amy in this chronology for the first time, and we even got to see Metal Sonic. And, well, actually, many Metal Sonics. And this leads me to believe that the next film will be very much an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Heroes. I think this could be really cool with fleshing out Amy's character and how she will interact with everyone, and also having Metal Sonic be the primary antagonist. The final boss version of Metal Sonic from Sonic Heroes will probably be what they take inspiration from for the final battle in the next movie, seeing as in this movie we've already seen tons of generic looking Metal Sonics. So I'm assuming there's going to be one top Metal Sonic. I hope they do kind of Gamma and Omega in some way. I think that that is like a really important thing to do when tackling an arc, a character arc for Amy, especially when introducing her. I really wonder, maybe they're also definitely paying homage to Sonic CD, introducing Amy and Metal Sonic at the same time. So there's a lot of stuff they could do there. I'm very interested and really want them to do stuff with things established in Sonic Heroes. I want them to establish the other teams because they already keep saying Team Sonic. Like, we have Team Sonic as a thing, but how about Team Dark and Team Rose? Chaotix might be a bit over the scope of what these movies try to accomplish in a single film, but I think that they should introduce Team Dark and Team Rose because I think those characters would add a lot to the narrative and just overall this chronology and just make it more special. Granted, they would have to do a lot of this Sonic Adventure 1 if they wanted to do that because you need to introduce Big and stuff like that. And of course, Cream was introduced. Cream does feature Sonic Adventure 1 as a cameo, but she was introduced in like one of the handheld games, like one of the Sonic Advance games. Listen, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I think they have a lot of room to do exciting stuff because, previously we've seen, okay, they're doing the Genesis games, and okay, now they're doing Sonic Adventure 2. It was mostly Sonic Adventure 2. There was some other like Sonic Adventure type references in there, but it was mostly Adventure 2. But this next movie has the kind of leeway to be a lot of different things in terms of adaptation and, where this Sonic movie series is going. So I'm personally very excited for it because genuinely they stepped up the bar. They raised the bar with this movie. And, I think the Sonic movies are genuinely really good now. So I'm very happy to say that I loved Sonic 3 and I'm very excited to see what they do next. And I'm really thinking about playing Sonic Adventure 2 again. Granted, I gotta finish my currently unfinished playthrough of Sonic Adventure 1 over on my little gameplay podcast channel, Hand on Grass. Nasty little plug there if you want to go check that out. And I'm also going to be very much enjoying Sonic X Shadow Generations, which I just purchased on a Steam sale for some Christmas money. I'm very excited about that. So, big year for Shadow this year. Anyways, as always, I've been Brotagonist. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and the main channel and the podcast channel and the other podcast channel if you like Xenoblade. And, see what I'm doing, where I'm going, Twitter, Blue Sky, everything's going. All right, that's about it. Peace.